The smell of fuel and burnt metal filled the air at Epsilon 7 space station. Taeyang wiped the grease from his hands and looked at his ship. It was old and ugly, but it flew. That was all that mattered in this part of space. He had just finished refueling when he heard footsteps behind him. Someone was running. Taeyang turned and saw a figure in a dark cloak rushing toward him. The person looked back over their shoulder, afraid of something. "Please," a voice said. It was a woman. "I need your help." The cloak fell away from her face. Taeyang stepped back in surprise. She was not human. Her skin was pale blue, and her eyes were large and golden. He knew what she was immediately. A Calveshi. Everyone in the galaxy knew about them. They were warriors, proud and strong. They followed strict rules and never showed weakness. But this woman looked terrified. "I need to leave this station," she said quickly. "I can pay you. Please, I need a pilot who will take me past the border checkpoints." Taeyang looked around the docking bay. It was late, and most people had gone to sleep. "Why do you need to run?" he asked. "They are hunting me," she said. She pulled out a small bag and opened it. Inside were crystals that glowed with soft light. They were worth a fortune. "This is all I have. Please. You are my last hope. The other pilots refused me." "Why did they refuse?" Taeyang asked. Before she could answer, shouts came from across the bay. Taeyang saw them. 6 Calveshi warriors in dark armor. They carried weapons that hummed with energy. They were looking for someone. The woman grabbed his arm. "Please," she whispered. "Humans are different from other species. They say you have soft hearts. I am hoping that is true." Taeyang looked at her face. He saw the fear there. He saw the cuts and bruises on her arms. Someone had hurt her badly. He thought about saying no. Getting involved with Calveshi business was dangerous. Everyone knew that, but he could not walk away from someone who needed help. "Get in the ship," he said. "Now." She ran up the boarding ramp. Taeyang followed and sealed the door. He heard the warriors shouting outside. They had seen them. He ran to the cockpit and started the engines. The ship shook and roared to life. "Strap in," he called to the woman. She sat in the co-pilot seat and fumbled with the safety harness. Her hands were shaking. Taeyang pushed the throttle forward. The ship lifted off the deck just as the warriors reached it. One of them fired a weapon. The energy bolt hit the shields and made them flicker. "Hold on," Taeyang said. He pushed the ship hard, flying through the docking bay at dangerous speed. Alarms blared around them. The station's security was alerting everyone. Taeyang did not care. He aimed for the exit and fired the main thrusters. They shot out into space. Behind them, warning lights flashed on the station. Taeyang checked his sensors. 2 Calveshi patrol ships were already chasing them. "They are fast," the woman said, looking at the display. "So am I," Taeyang said. He flew toward a nearby asteroid field. It was a dangerous place full of floating rocks and debris. Most pilots avoided it, but Taeyang had flown through it many times before. He knew the safe paths. The patrol ships followed them into the field. Taeyang weaved between the asteroids, making sharp turns that threw them both against their harnesses. Behind them, one of the patrol ships clipped an asteroid and spun away. The second ship was still following. Its pilot was good. Taeyang gritted his teeth and dove deeper into the field. He saw a gap between 2 large asteroids and aimed for it. The gap was narrow, very narrow. "We will not fit," the woman said. "Yes, we will," Taeyang said. He was right. The ship scraped through with centimeters to spare. The patrol ship behind them was not so lucky. It tried to follow but had to pull up at the last second. By the time it found another way through, Taeyang had disappeared into the darkness of space. Hours later, when they were far from the station, Taeyang finally relaxed. He set the ship to autopilot and turned to look at the woman. She was staring at him with those golden eyes. "Thank you," she said quietly. "You saved my life." "Who are you?" Taeyang asked. "And why are they hunting you?" She looked down at her hands. "My name is Vera. I am from the warrior caste of my people. 3 months ago, I was promised to a high-ranking warrior named Korvath. It is our custom. Families arrange unions to strengthen bloodlines and honor." "You did not want to marry him," Taeyang said. "No," she said. "Korvath is cruel. He has killed many in duels. He enjoys causing pain. When I refused the bonding ceremony, my family disowned me. In our culture, refusing a union is the greatest dishonor. The penalty is death." "That is insane," Taeyang said. "It is our way," Vera said. "I do not expect you to understand. But I could not accept a life with him. So I ran. I have been running for months. Most species in the galaxy fear the Kalveshi. No one wanted to help me. Until you." Taeyang leaned back in his chair. "Where do you want to go?" "Anywhere beyond the border," she said. "Somewhere Korvath cannot follow. The outer colonies, perhaps." "That is a 3-day journey," Taeyang said. "I know," Vera said. She held out the bag of crystals again. "This should be enough to pay for passage and your silence." Taeyang looked at the crystals. They were worth more than he made in a year. He could retire with that much money, but something about taking it felt wrong. "Keep your money," he said. "Use it to start over wherever you go." Vera stared at him. "I do not understand. Why would you help me without payment?" "Because you need help," Taeyang said simply. "Is that not enough?" For a long moment, Vera said nothing. Then something changed in her expression. The fear faded a little. "They say humans are weak," she said softly. "That you let emotions guide you instead of logic and honor. But maybe that is not weakness. Maybe that is something else." "Maybe," Taeyang said. He stood up. "There are sleeping quarters in the back. You should rest. We have a long flight ahead." Vera stood as well. She bowed her head in a formal gesture. "I am in your debt, Taeyang of Earth." "No debt," he said. "Just help me keep watch on the sensors. Make sure no one is following us." She nodded and sat at the console. Taeyang watched her for a moment. He had just made his life much more complicated. The Kalveshi did not forgive easily. By helping this woman, he had made powerful enemies. But when he looked at her face and saw hope there instead of fear, he knew he had made the right choice, even if it cost him everything. The first day of their journey passed quietly. Vera stayed in the back of the ship, sleeping or sitting in silence. Taeyang left her alone. She needed time to feel safe again. He understood that. On the second day, she came to the cockpit. She had cleaned herself up and tended to her wounds. She still looked tired, but the fear in her eyes had lessened. "May I sit?" she asked. "Of course," Taeyang said. She sat in the co-pilot seat and looked out at the stars. For a while, neither of them spoke. Then Vera broke the silence. "I want to apologize," she said. "For what?" "For putting you in danger. Korvath will not stop hunting me. If he finds out you helped me, he will come after you too." Taeyang shrugged. "I knew the risks. I made my choice." Vera turned to look at him. "Why? You do not know me. We are not even the same species. Why risk everything for a stranger?" "Because it was the right thing to do," Taeyang said. "Is that so strange?" "To most species, yes," Vera said. "The galaxy runs on trade and advantage. Everyone wants something, but you asked for nothing." "I got something," Taeyang said with a small smile. "Company on a long flight. That is worth more than money sometimes." Vera studied him carefully. "You are unusual for your kind. Most humans I have met are loud and aggressive. They try to prove themselves constantly, but you are calm, quiet." "Maybe I have nothing to prove," Taeyang said. She almost smiled at that. Over the next hours, they talked more. Vera told him about her homeworld, a planet of red deserts and ancient cities. She described the rigid caste system of her people, where warriors held the highest honor and everyone else served beneath them. "It sounds difficult," Taeyang said. "It is all I have known," Vera replied. "Since I was a child, I was trained to fight, to follow orders, to never question tradition. But something inside me always resisted. I wanted to ask why. Why must things be this way? Why can we not choose our own paths?" "Those are good questions," Taeyang said. "Dangerous questions," Vera corrected. "They led me here, running from everything I knew." Taeyang was about to respond when the ship's alarms blared. He looked at the sensors and his blood went cold. A massive ship had just dropped out of faster-than-light travel directly in front of them. It was a Calveshi warship, 10 times the size of his cargo vessel. "No," Vera whispered. "How did they find us?" "They must have been tracking us somehow," Taeyang said. He was already calculating options. They could not outrun a warship. They could not outfight it. They were trapped. A signal came through on the communication channel. Taeyang accepted it. The screen showed a Calveshi male in ornate armor. His face was hard and cold. Scars covered his jaw and neck. "I am Korvath," the warrior said. His voice was deep and filled with barely controlled rage. "You have taken something that belongs to me, human." "She does not belong to anyone," Taeyang said firmly. Korvath's eyes narrowed. "You know nothing of our ways. Vera is promised to me. She has committed the highest dishonor by fleeing. Return her now, and I will let you leave alive." "Not going to happen," Taeyang said. Korvath leaned forward. "Then you will die with her. My weapons are already targeting your ship. You have nowhere to run." Taeyang felt Vera's hand on his arm. She was shaking. He looked at her and saw the terror returning to her face. She knew what Korvath would do to her if she was captured. Death would be a mercy compared to the punishment for dishonoring him. "Wait," Vera said. She stood up and faced the screen. "Korvath, please, do not harm him. This human is innocent. He did not know our laws." "Ignorance is not an excuse," Korvath said. "He interfered in Calveshi affairs. The penalty is death." "No," Vera said. Her voice was stronger now. "I will not let another suffer for my choices." Before Taeyang could stop her, Vera dropped to her knees in front of him. She placed her hands on the floor in a formal gesture. Then she began speaking in her own language. The words were rhythmic and ancient-sounding. On the screen, Korvath's expression changed from anger to shock. "What are you doing?" he demanded. Vera continued speaking. Taeyang did not understand the words, but he felt the weight behind them. This was something important, something sacred. When she finished, she looked up at Korvath. "It is done. I have invoked the oath of life debt. This human saved me from death. By our oldest laws, he has the right to claim my service and protection. I am bound to him now." "You cannot do this," Korvath said, but there was uncertainty in his voice now. "The law is clear," Vera said. "You know this, Korvath. A life debt supersedes all other bonds, even a promised union." For a long moment, Korvath said nothing. His hands gripped the arms of his chair so hard that Taeyang could see the metal bending. Finally, he spoke. "Very well. The law is the law. But know this, Vera. You have chosen to bind yourself to a weak human instead of accepting the honor I offered. This is a shame that will follow you forever." He turned his cold gaze to Taeyang. "And you, human, you think you have won. But you do not understand what she has done. You do not understand the burden she has placed on you. We will meet again. When we do, I will show you what it means to take what belongs to me." The screen went dark. A moment later, the warship turned and jumped away into faster-than-light travel. They were alone again. Taeyang let out a breath he had not realized he was holding. Then he looked down at Vera, who was still kneeling on the floor. "What did you do?" he asked, quietly. She stood slowly. "I saved both our lives, and I bound myself to you forever." "What does that mean? Forever?" Vera walked to the window and looked out at the stars. "A life debt is sacred among my people. When someone saves your life, you owe them everything. By speaking the oath, I have made that debt official and eternal. I cannot leave your side. I must protect you. I must serve you, until the debt is repaid or one of us dies." "No," Taeyang said. "No, I did not ask for that. I do not want to own anyone." "You do not own me," Vera said, but her voice was sad. "The bond is different. It is honor, not slavery. But the effect is the same. Where you go, I must follow. What threatens you, I must fight. I am yours now, Taeyang. Forever." She turned to face him, and he saw tears in her golden eyes. "I am sorry. I know humans value freedom above all things, but it was the only way to save you. Korvath would have killed you. Now he cannot touch you without breaking our most sacred laws. As long as I am bound to you, you are protected." Taeyang sat down heavily. His mind was racing. He had helped her to set her free, but now she was trapped again, trapped with him. "There has to be a way to break this," he said. "There is," Vera said quietly. "But it requires something that may be impossible." "Tell me." She looked at him with those sad, golden eyes. "You must save my life the same way I saved yours. Only an act of equal sacrifice can break a life debt. Until then, we are bound together." Taeyang closed his eyes. What had he gotten himself into? Outside the window, the stars watched in silence. 3 weeks had passed since they arrived at the colony world called Haven's End. It was a small planet on the edge of civilized space, the kind of place where people went when they wanted to disappear. Taeyang had a tiny apartment there, just 2 rooms above a repair shop. Now, Vera lived there too. She slept on the floor near the door, even though Taeyang had offered her the bed. She said it was her duty to guard the entrance. Every morning, she woke before him and checked the perimeter. Every night, she stayed awake long after he fell asleep. It was driving him crazy. "You need to rest," he said one morning over breakfast. "You cannot stay awake all the time." "I must protect you," Vera said simply. She was eating the simple human food he had prepared, though he could tell she did not enjoy it. Her people ate differently. "From what?" "We are safe here. No one knows where we are." "Korvath is resourceful. He will find us eventually. I must be ready." Taeyang put down his cup with more force than he intended. "This is not living, Vera. You are like a ghost. You follow me everywhere. You never relax. You never smile. I did not help you escape one prison just to trap you in another." She looked at him with those golden eyes. There was no anger in them, just sadness. "You do not understand. This is not a prison to me. This is honor. This is purpose. Without the bond, I am nothing. I have no family, no home, no place among my people. At least here, I have meaning." "Your meaning should not depend on me," Taeyang said quietly. Before Vera could respond, there was a knock at the door. She was on her feet instantly, one hand moving to the weapon she always carried. Taeyang waved her back and answered the door himself. A woman stood there. She was human, with short black hair and kind eyes. Taeyang's face broke into a genuine smile for the first time in weeks. "Hana," he said. "What are you doing here?" "I heard you were back on Haven's End," Hana said, "and I heard some interesting rumors about you traveling with a Calveshi warrior. I had to see if it was true." She stepped inside, and her eyes went immediately to Vera. "Fascinating," she breathed. Vera stood rigid, uncertain how to respond. "Vera, this is Hana," Taeyang said. "She is an old friend. She studies different alien cultures." "A xenoanthropologist," Hana corrected. She approached Vera slowly, like someone approaching a wild animal. I have been studying the Calveshi for years. I have never met one face-to-face before. This is incredible. You study my people? Vera asked. Yes. Your culture is one of the most complex in the galaxy. All those layers of honor and duty and tradition. It is beautiful and terrible at the same time. Vera seemed unsure how to respond to that. Hana turned to Tae-yang. Can we talk? She asked. I think I know what happened here. And if I am right, you need my help. They sat together and Tae-yang explained everything. The escape from Epsilon 7. Korvath's pursuit. The life debt that now bound Vera to him. As he talked, Hana's expression grew more serious. This is worse than I thought, she said when he finished. What do you mean? Tae-yang asked. The life debt is not just cultural, Hana explained. It is biological too. The Calveshi evolved as pack hunters millions of years ago. They formed bonds with their hunting partners that were psychic in nature. Those bonds are still part of their biology. When Vera spoke the oath, she did not just make a promise. She created a real, physical connection between you. What kind of connection? Vera asked quietly. She can sense where you are, Hana said to Tae-yang. Not precisely, but generally. If you are in danger, she will feel it. If you die, the shock will likely kill her too, and she physically cannot stray too far from you. The bond will pull her back. That is insane, Tae-yang said. That is evolution, Hana replied. Your people evolved to value freedom and individuality. Hers evolved to value the pack and the bond. Neither is right or wrong. They are just different. Can it be broken? Tae-yang asked desperately. Hana nodded slowly. Yes, but it is not easy. According to Calveshi tradition, a life debt can only be fulfilled through an act of equal sacrifice. Vera saved your life by invoking the bond. It stopped Korvath from destroying your ship. So now you must save her life in a way that her culture recognizes as equal. How? Tae-yang asked. I do not know yet, Hana admitted. But I will research it. In the meantime, you two need to find a way to live together. This could take months to solve, maybe longer. After Hana left, Tae-yang and Vera sat in uncomfortable silence. Finally, Tae-yang spoke. I want to try something, he said. I have a cargo run tomorrow. Medical supplies to a mining colony. Come with me, not as my guard, as my partner. Help me with the work. I am not a cargo handler, Vera said. But you are strong and smart, Tae-yang said, and I could use the help. Please. Let us try to be partners instead of master and servant. Vera considered this for a long moment. Then she nodded. I will try. The cargo run went better than expected. Vera's strength made loading much faster. Her knowledge of alien languages helped when they dealt with the mining colony's mixed population, and to Tae-yang's surprise, she seemed almost happy. She asked questions about his work. She made suggestions for more efficient loading patterns. She was engaged in a way he had never seen before. On the flight back, she actually smiled. That was satisfying, she said. I have never done honest work like that before. As a warrior, everything was about training for combat or proving honor through duels. But helping people, solving real problems, there is honor in that too. Yes, there is, Tae-yang agreed. Over the following weeks, they fell into a new rhythm. They took cargo runs together. Vera stopped sleeping on the floor and accepted the bed when Tae-yang insisted he preferred the couch anyway. She learned to cook human food. He learned a few words of her language. They were becoming friends. But the universe was not done with them yet. One evening, Tae-yang received a message. The sender was anonymous, but the content was clear. Someone had put a bounty on Vera's head. A huge bounty. Large enough that every hunter and mercenary in the sector would be looking for her. Korvath, Vera said when he told her. He cannot kill me himself without breaking the law, but he can hire others to do it. Then we run, Tae-yang said. Where? The bounty will follow us anywhere. Then we fight. Vera shook her head. You are not a warrior, Taiyang, and I cannot protect you from everyone who will come. Then what do we do? He asked, frustrated. Before she could answer, Hana burst through the door. Her eyes were wild with excitement or fear. Taiyang could not tell which. I found something, she said breathlessly. A way to fulfill the life debt, but it is dangerous, very dangerous. Tell us, Taiyang said. Hana took a deep breath. There is a planet 3 days from here. It is suffering from a plague. Thousands are dying. No one will help them because the planet is in Calveshi territory, and Korvath controls that region. But if you went there and saved those people, if you risked your life to help the helpless in defiance of Korvath himself, that would be an act of equal sacrifice. That would fulfill the debt. It is a trap, Vera said immediately. Korvath would be there. He would kill us both. Maybe, Hana said. Or maybe he would be forced to respect what you are doing. The Calveshi value honor above all things, right? What greater honor is there than saving innocent lives? Taiyang looked at Vera. She looked back at him. For the first time since they met, he saw hope in her eyes. Real hope. It is your choice, she said quietly. I am bound to you. Where you go, I follow. Taiyang thought about the easy choice. They could run, hide, stay safe. But safety was not living, and those people needed help. We go, he said. Tomorrow. We get the medical supplies and we go. Vera smiled then, a real smile that reached her eyes. Yes, she said, we go together. The planet was called Tharos. From space, it looked peaceful. Green continents and blue oceans under white clouds. But Taiyang knew better. Down there, thousands were dying from a plague that attacked the nervous system. Without treatment, victims died within days. We are being scanned, Vera said from the co-pilot seat. Multiple ships, all Calveshi military. I see them, Taiyang said. His hands were steady on the controls, but his heart was racing. They had flown straight into Korvath's territory. This was either very brave or very stupid. A signal came through. Taiyang accepted it. Korvath's scarred face appeared on the screen. But this time he did not look angry. He looked curious. I knew you would come, he said. When I heard someone had purchased medical supplies for Tharos, I knew it would be you. Humans are so predictable, always rushing to save those who cannot save themselves. Let us land, Taiyang said. These people need help. No, Korvath said. This planet is under quarantine. No one enters. No one leaves. You are letting them die, Vera said, her voice filled with anger. I am protecting the sector, Korvath replied. If the plague spreads, millions could die. The sacrifice of one planet is acceptable. To you, maybe, Taiyang said, but not to me. Those are people down there. They deserve a chance to live. Korvath leaned forward. You are a fool, human. You flew into my trap willingly. I could destroy your ship right now. Vera would die with you, and the life debt would be ended. Everything would return to the way it should be. But you will not, Taiyang said. He was gambling everything on this. Because there are witnesses, other ships watching. If you kill us while we are trying to save innocent lives, everyone will know. They will know that Korvath the warrior chose death over mercy. That is not honor. That is shame. For a long moment, Korvath said nothing. The tension in the cockpit was so thick, Taiyang could barely breathe. Then, slowly, Korvath smiled. It was not a kind smile. You are clever, human. I will give you that. Very well. Land if you must. Deliver your medicines. Try to save these people. But know this, I will be watching. And when you fail, when the plague proves too strong and people continue to die despite your efforts, I will be there. I will show everyone that human compassion is worthless without strength. Then I will reclaim what is mine. The transmission ended. Taiyang looked at Vera. He is going to let us try, she said, disbelief in her voice. He thinks we will fail, Taeyang said. So we cannot fail. They landed at the main settlement. What they found was worse than they had imagined. Bodies lay in the streets. The sick filled every building, lying on floors because there were not enough beds. The medical staff were overwhelmed and exhausted. Many of them were getting sick, too. A doctor approached as they unloaded the supplies. She was human, thin and pale with dark circles under her eyes. You should not have come, she said. The plague is too strong. Nothing stops it. These medicines might help, Taeyang said. Maybe for a few days, the doctor said tiredly. But we do not have enough people to treat everyone, and more get sick every hour. We are losing this fight. Taeyang looked around at the dying colonists. He felt helplessness rising in his chest. Then he felt Vera's hand on his shoulder. We did not come here to watch them die, she said firmly. Tell us what to do. For the next 3 days, they barely slept. Taeyang and Vera worked alongside the medical staff, distributing medicines and tending to the sick. Vera's strength let her move patients who were too heavy for the tired doctors. Taeyang's quick thinking helped them organize the chaos into something manageable. But it was not enough. People kept dying. On the 4th day, Korvath arrived with his warriors. They walked through the settlement, observing the suffering. Korvath stood before Taeyang and Vera. You have tried, he said. No one can say otherwise. But trying is not the same as succeeding. These people are still dying. Your compassion changed nothing. We slowed the spread, Taeyang said. We saved some. Some is not enough, Korvath replied. Now you will leave. The quarantine continues. These people will die, but at least the sector will be safe. No, Taeyang said. Korvath's warriors tensed, hands moving to their weapons. But Taeyang stepped forward, looking directly into Korvath's eyes. I challenge you, Taeyang said. Vera gasped. Taeyang, no, not to a fight, Taeyang said quickly. I would lose. We both know that. I challenge you to honor. You say compassion without strength is worthless. I say strength without compassion is evil. Help me save these people. Show me that Calveshi honor means more than just following rules and watching people suffer. Korvath stared at him. You dare. I dare because I have nothing left to lose, Taeyang interrupted. You already want to kill me. Fine. But kill me after we save these people. Help me for 1 week. Give me your warriors as workers. Give me your ships to bring more supplies. If we still fail after that, then you win. You can reclaim Vera. You can kill me. But give these people one real chance. That is all I ask. The settlement had gone quiet. Everyone was watching. Korvath's warriors, the sick colonists, the medical staff. This human had just asked a Calveshi warlord to help him. It was insane. Korvath looked around at all the watching eyes. Then he looked at Vera. She was staring at Taeyang with something like wonder on her face. 1 week, Korvath said finally. I will give you 1 week. My warriors will help. My ships will bring supplies. But if these people are still dying after 7 days, you will accept your failure and your punishment. Agreed, Taeyang said. What followed was unlike anything the settlement had ever seen. Calveshi warriors, trained for combat, worked alongside human doctors. They carried patients with surprising gentleness. They distributed food and water with careful efficiency. They built new shelters for the overflow of sick. Korvath himself worked among them. He never smiled. He never showed softness. But he worked tirelessly, lifting supplies that would have taken 3 humans to move. On the 3rd day of their cooperation, Taeyang found himself working next to Korvath. They were setting up a new quarantine area. Why did you agree to help? Taeyang asked. Korvath did not look at him. You shamed me. In front of witnesses, if I had refused, I would have looked weak. A warrior who fears getting his hands dirty with honest work. Is that the only reason? Corvath was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "When I was young, I believed honor meant strength in battle, following the ancient codes, never showing weakness. But watching you these past days, you show weakness constantly. You show fear and doubt. You ask for help. You admit when you do not know something, yet you keep working. You do not stop. That is a different kind of strength." He finally looked at Taeyang. "I am beginning to understand why Vera chose you." By the end of the week, the plague was under control. Not defeated, but controlled. The death rate had slowed. The sick were receiving proper care. New medicines had arrived from other worlds. The settlement would survive. Corvath stood in the center of the settlement with his warriors around him. The colonists had gathered to see what would happen next. Taeyang and Vera stood before him. "You succeeded," Corvath said. His voice carried across the crowd. "Against all odds, against reason itself, you saved these people. You did it with compassion and stubbornness and the refusal to accept defeat." He looked directly at Taeyang. "I came here to prove that human weakness would fail. Instead, you showed me that what I thought was weakness might be the greatest strength of all. You have earned my respect, human, something I do not give easily." Corvath placed his fist against his chest, a Calveshi gesture of honor. His warriors did the same. "The bounty on Vera is withdrawn," Corvath announced. "Her debt to you is witnessed and accepted, and you, Taeyang of Earth, I name you Blade Brother, a warrior of equal standing. Anyone who threatens you threatens me." Taeyang could barely process what was happening. Vera was crying silently beside him. "The life debt," she whispered. "Does this fulfill it?" "That is not for me to decide," Corvath said, but his eyes held a strange kindness. "That is between you and him." He turned and walked toward his ship, his warriors following. Before he boarded, he looked back one last time. "We will meet again, Blade Brother. When we do, perhaps you will teach me more about this human strength of yours." Then he was gone, his ships rising into the sky and disappearing among the stars. Taeyang turned to Vera. She was looking at him with those golden eyes, tears still streaming down her face. "You did it," she said. "You saved my life. Not with weapons or tricks, but with kindness, with the refusal to give up. You saved me in a way my people will understand." "Does that mean—" Taeyang started. "The debt is fulfilled," she said. She fell to her knees again, but this time not in servitude, in gratitude. "I am free, Taeyang. For the first time in my life, I am truly free." He helped her stand, and for the first time, when their hands touched, it did not feel like duty. It felt like choice. 2 days after Corvath left, Taeyang and Vera remained on Tharos. The settlement was recovering slowly. The plague was not gone, but it was manageable now. The doctors smiled again. Children played in the streets. Life was returning. Hana had arrived the day before, bringing more supplies and news from the wider galaxy. Now she sat with Taeyang and Vera in the settlement's small cafe, drinking terrible coffee and discussing what came next. "The story has spread everywhere," Hana said, excitement in her voice. "A human and a Calveshi warrior working together. Corvath himself declaring you a Blade Brother. People are calling it impossible, a miracle." "It was not a miracle," Taeyang said quietly. "It was just the right thing to do." "That is exactly what makes it miraculous," Hana replied. She turned to Vera. "And you? How do you feel?" "The debt is fulfilled. You are free to go wherever you want." Vera stared into her cup. She had been very quiet since Corvath left. Tai Yang had given her space, knowing she needed time to process everything. I do not know where to go, Vera admitted. I cannot return to my home world. My family will not accept me, and I have no other home. You could stay here, Hana suggested. The settlement could use your strength. They are rebuilding. Perhaps, Vera said, but she did not sound convinced. Tai Yang felt something twist in his chest. He had fought so hard to free her from the bond. But now that she was free, he realized he did not want her to leave. She had become part of his life, part of him. But he would not say that. She deserved to make her own choice without pressure. What about you? Hana asked Tai Yang. Will you stay and help with the reconstruction? For a little while, Tai Yang said. But then I need to return to Haven's End. I have a ship and a business, small as it is. A business that could use a partner, Hana said, looking meaningfully between them. Just saying. Before anyone could respond, a Calveshi transport landed near the cafe. Tai Yang tensed, but Vera shook her head. That is not Korvath's ship, she said. 3 Calveshi warriors emerged. But these were different. Their armor was ceremonial, decorated with complex patterns. They walked directly to the cafe and stopped before Vera. Vera, daughter of the warrior caste, the lead warrior said formally. We come with a message from the Council of Elders. Vera stood slowly. What message? Your actions here have been observed. The bond you fulfilled, the honor you showed. The council has debated your case. They have decided that while you broke tradition by fleeing your promised union, you have redeemed yourself through service to those in need. You are welcome to return home. Your honor is restored. Vera stared at them in shock. I can go home. Yes, the warrior said. Your family awaits. A place has been prepared for you. It was everything she had lost, everything she had run from, her home, her family, her place in society. Taeyang felt his heart sink. Of course she would go. Why would she stay with him when she could have everything back? I need time to think, Vera said. The warriors bowed. We will wait for your decision, but do not take too long. The transport leaves in 3 days. They returned to their ship. That night, Taeyang could not sleep. He lay on his cot in the temporary shelter, staring at the ceiling. Vera had been given her own shelter, but he could sense she was not sleeping either. Finally, unable to stand it anymore, he got up and walked outside. The settlement was quiet under the stars. He found himself at the edge of town, looking out at the dark fields beyond. You are troubled, a voice said behind him. He turned. Vera stood there, wrapped in a blanket against the cool night air. I thought you were asleep, he said. I cannot sleep. Too many thoughts. She came to stand beside him. You are thinking about the council's offer. Yes. You think I will leave. I think you should do what makes you happy, Taeyang said. You have your honor back, your family, everything you lost. It would be foolish not to take it. And what about what I have here? Vera asked softly. Taeyang looked at her. What do you have here? She turned to face him fully. A partner, a friend, someone who sees me not as a warrior or a member of a caste, but as a person. Someone who risked everything to free me, not to own me. Do you know how rare that is? Vera, let me finish, she said. I have been thinking about freedom, what it means. I thought freedom meant going wherever I wanted, doing whatever I chose, but I was wrong. True freedom is choosing where you want to be, choosing who you want to be with, not because you must, but because you want to. She took a deep breath. The council offers me my old life back, but I do not want my old life. That life was a cage made of honor and tradition. I want something different now. I want to choose my own path. What path is that? Taeyang asked, hardly daring to hope. I want to stay with you. Vera said simply. Not because of a debt, not because of honor, but because I choose to. If you will have me as a partner, a real partner, equal in all ways. Taeyang felt something warm spread through his chest. I would like that very much. She smiled then, a real smile that lit up her whole face. Good, because I have grown used to your terrible cooking and your strange human ideas about always helping people. Someone needs to keep you out of trouble. He laughed. I think you mean someone needs to help me find trouble. That, too. They stood together under the stars, no longer bound by debt or honor or anything except their own choice. It felt right in a way nothing else had. 3 days later, they stood before the Calveshi transport. The warriors waited patiently for Vera's answer. Thank you for the council's offer, Vera said formally. Please tell them I am honored by their forgiveness, but I choose to remain here. I have found a new purpose, a new home. The lead warrior looked at Taeyang, then back at Vera. With the human? With my partner, Vera corrected. The warrior was silent for a moment. Then, surprisingly, he smiled. The galaxy is changing. Perhaps this is not such a bad thing. May you find honor in your new path, Vera. They departed, leaving Taeyang and Vera standing in the docking bay. Hana joined them, grinning. So, she said, what now? Taeyang looked at Vera. We should register the ship under both our names. Make it official. Yes, Vera agreed. And maybe upgrade the cargo hold. If we are going to keep taking jobs like this, we need more space. Definitely. And perhaps get better weapons, since we seem to attract trouble. Absolutely necessary. Hana laughed. You two are perfect for each other. The galaxy has no idea what it is in for. 6 months later, their ship, now called the Free Choice, was known throughout the frontier. The human pilot and his Calveshi partner. They took jobs others would not touch. They helped settlements in trouble. They transported supplies to dangerous places. They were expensive to hire, but they always delivered. Other species were baffled by their partnership. How could a human and a Calveshi work so well together? Their cultures were so different, but those who worked with them understood. They had something stronger than cultural similarity. They had trust. They had respect. They had chosen each other. One evening, after a particularly difficult cargo run, they sat in the ship's common area. Taeyang was calculating their earnings. Vera was maintaining her weapons. Do you ever regret it? Taeyang asked suddenly. Giving up your old life? Vera looked up from her work. Never. Do you regret helping me that first night? Not even once. Good. She went back to her work, a small smile on her face. Taeyang watched her for a moment, then returned to his calculations. They sat in comfortable silence, two very different beings who had somehow found their way to each other. Outside the viewport, the stars stretched on forever. There were thousands of worlds out there, millions of people who needed help. The galaxy was big and often cruel, but it was also full of possibilities, full of chances to make a difference, full of opportunities to choose kindness over cruelty, hope over despair, partnership over isolation. They would chase those opportunities together, not because they had to, but because they wanted to. And that made all the difference. Years later, when people told the story of the human and the Calveshi, they would say it was a story about honor and debt and cultural exchange. They would analyze the diplomatic implications and study the sociological aspects. But those who knew them understood the truth. It was simply a story about two people who found each other in the darkness of space, who chose to stand together when they could have walked away, who proved that the strongest bonds are not the ones forced upon us, but the ones we choose for ourselves. Taeyang and Vera never became famous. They never led empires or commanded fleets. They were just two beings trying to make the galaxy a little bit better, one cargo run at a time. But to each other, they were everything. And in the end, that was more than enough. The free choice jumped to faster-than-light travel, carrying them toward their next destination, toward their next adventure, toward a future they would build together, one choice at a time, forever bound, but freely chosen. And that was exactly how they wanted it.